Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, the date for the new U.S. fully vaccinated travel policy revealed. A victim of police brutality speaks out after the Supreme Court awards him damages. Why the Prime Minister is issuing a call for action on climate change. A former F&M MP says the party is at a low point and must revamp. Plus, the Bahamas Humane Society takes a hit as thieves strike Sunday night. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, we now know the date the United States fully vaccinated travel policy will take effect. U.S. President Joe Biden today issued a proclamation on advancing the safe resumption of global travel during the COVID-19 pandemic, outlining the country's new air travel policy effective November 8, 2021. According to the proclamation, the new policy suspends the entry of unvaccinated, non-citizen, non-immigrants except in limited circumstances, consistent with health and safety determinations made by the Director of the Centers for Disease Control. The proclamation notes that the suspension and limitation on entry applies only to air travelers to the United States and does not affect visa issuance. The requirement for COVID-19 testing before travel remains in place. Well, another claim of police brutality has resulted in the Royal Bahamas Police Force now having to pay a man more than $80,000 after he lost 9 teeth when punched in the mouth by a police officer. Kyle Joaquin has his story.
I feel bad, especially when you get a gun pulled on you. You can't never forget that. And when you see him, I can't never forget him.
We've blurred his face at his request, but it's an experienced 34-year-old Pedro Morley says he will never forget having a gun pulled on him and teeth punched out by a man he now knows was a police officer. It happened 2 a.m. on October 5th, 2019, as Morley left a popular nightclub off Bay Street and began talking to a young woman on the outside.
The guy came out and started shouting, "Do you know her?" I said, "No, I don't know her." He said, "Do you know her?" I said, "No, I don't know her." So while he keep on getting louder and louder, I walk off. Right. So when I walk off, he walk off behind me. And he keep on saying the same thing over and over. So I went and talked to my cousin. And I started talking to him. He started saying, "So y'all plotting on me." Hey, bro, we ain't on your run, bro. We ain't plotting on you.
Morley says the man then pulled out a gun, but didn't identify himself as a police officer until then. Morley says he left and drove to police headquarters, but the gates were closed, so he continued along E Street to head home. However, police cars then pulled up.
And they said, "Come with the car." We came with the car. The first thing come with their mouth, "Are you a police officer?" So I said, "Who sent you? Who told you to stop us? How you know we in the vehicle to stop us right there and then?" Once I talking to him, Hall came out, didn't know he's following us, and he punched me twice from the mouth. Morley
left with a bloody mouth, 2 shaky teeth, and 8 others damaged. But 2 years later, tooth after tooth had to be taken out.
Well, when I went to the dentist, they say my teeth and stuff shaking, and by every day, 2 years pass, so my teeth start dropping out, and then my teeth start shaking. Right. So right now, even though I get that little lump sum, I have to fix my whole entire mouth.
Right. How many teeth did you lose already?
Well, say almost 9 now.
In the ruling, Supreme Court Assistant Registrar Ronaldo Toot said, when the Royal Bahamas Police Force's motto, creating safer communities, actually does right by the oppressed, only then will it truly exist. In a just and civil society, there is a legitimate expectation that the police would act fair at all times. He continued saying, the plaintiff's counsel submitted that in this case, no apology has been preferred by the defendants, which demonstrates a lack of remorse. Now, Morley says he has found it in his heart to forgive the officer, but the incident was one that he could never forget.
In a way, yeah, but I can't forget it. They say have a conversation. Only way I have a conversation if you apologize to me.
Morley has been awarded $82,000 by the Supreme Court, but his next move is to finally fix his teeth. He says the past 2 years have been rough, living with his mouth in the state it's in now.
I'm a captain, and I deal with tourism, and the gas I be around. When you want to smile, you can't smile because you get teeth missing. And then, some people, they look at you a funny way when you have your teeth missing. So, at the end of the day, it's You know, it's fragile, and you know, you have to bear with it.
The Officer Hall at the center of this matter remains on the job. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, Prime Minister Philip Davis making the global call for urgent action on climate change and global warming. Speaking to a group of world youth leaders, Davis says the issue is more important now than ever. Here's Kyle Joaquin.
We need big, radical changes to abate this trend and save countries like the Bahamas from a perilous fate.
It's an issue Davis says needs to be urgently tackled head-on by world leaders. Climate change and its effects on small island developing states like the Bahamas. While speaking to global youth leaders during a virtual One Young World Ambassadors meeting, Davis stressed that when it comes to hurricanes, sea level rise, and other threats of climate change, the Bahamas is among those at greatest risk.
Every coastal region in the world has been or will be severely impacted by climate change in some way. The world is running out of time. If we wish to halt the worst effects of climate change, the summer of 2021 was the hottest on record. As hot as this summer has been, many predict that it may be the coolest summer we experience for the rest of our lives.
Davis pointed to the devastation brought on by Hurricane Dorian 2 years ago and the many lives lost. Dorian was the greatest natural disaster the Bahamas experienced in modern times.
The day is fast approaching when we will be out of extra chances. When it comes to climate change, indecision and procrastinations are luxuries we cannot afford. The time for action is now.
The Prime Minister says aside from hurricanes, an estimated 15% of the country's GDP is threatened by the rise in sea level.
We also experienced major hurricanes in 2015, 2016, and 2017. Lives and livelihoods have been lost, and our fear is that there's no end in sight.
Davis told the youth leaders their generation will bear the brunt of climate change's impact in the coming decades. That calls for lower greenhouse gas emissions and meeting global targets to have a climate-neutral world in the next 30 years. He sent out a special invitation to host the next One Young World Summit in the Bahamas.
When I speak of the threat of climate change, I'm not talking about some far-off catastrophic event that will occur decades from now. Countries like mine are already experiencing these disasters today.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
127,567 Bahamians are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 as the country continues its national vaccine campaign. More than 132,000 people have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and COVID-19 hospitalizations have now dipped below 100. As of October 23rd, hospitalizations stood at 92. Meanwhile, Inagua residents continuing to take advantage of free COVID-19 testing on that island as the Ministry of Health works to contain a recent outbreak.
It's important to get tested because we really want to understand the grasp of the virus as it affects us in Inagua at this present time. And it's important for us to do an island-wide screening so that we can get a picture of what is exactly we are faced with.
Inagua recorded an additional case on Saturday. Residents say it's time for all residents to know their status.
I decided to go out and get tested because I feel like prevention is better than cure. I mean, because it's a small island, you know, and everybody's closely knitted, so the spread could be fast.
A wet morning in the capital. Greg Thompson has the latest in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina. Our first look at weather tonight is brought to you by Ports International, trusted medical supplies for a better quality of life. Partly cloudy skies outside our studios right now. Humid conditions, temperatures in the low 80s. Your winds are light out of the southeast at 6 knots and your feels like temperature in the mid 80s. Satellite view, a lot of moisture still trapped across the northern islands, courtesy of a surface trough and an upper level disturbance moving across that area. We will continue to see some shower activity as well as some thunderstorms tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, thousands of dollars worth of damage at the Bahamas Humane Society. But first, former F&M MP Frederick McAlpine says the party needs a revamp. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is the lowest the F&M has ever been, according to former Free National Movement Member of Parliament Frederick McAlpine. McAlpine says if the party wants to rebuild, it must mend relationships that were broken by party leader Dr. Hubert Minnis. Jillian Gray reports.
McAlpine said the fact of the matter is the F&M is at its lowest point, and if they want a chance at being the government again, they'll have to revamp the entire party.
I know they're just doing the leadership race, but the party needs to not only take an introspective view, it needs to be revamped.
After the devastating defeat at the polls, the F&M needs a complete overhaul, according to former Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine, who says it's not just the leadership that needs to change. The former parliamentarian was a strong critic of many of the decisions the previous administration made, vowing to still be a strong advocate for the people. McAlpine says the opposition party has a lot of work to do.
The Free National Movement is at its lowest ebb it's ever been since 1992, once it won the government. And I'll also go a little further and say this. Many good F&Ms have been destroyed and out of the Free National Movement because of the present leadership.
It's no secret that some in the party were not pleased with Dr. Minnis' leadership. 4 of his parliamentarians voted against a value-added tax hike, and 3 of them left the party. McAlpine says it's time the party mend relationships.
Practically every third force in this country today came out of the Free National Movement. So if they have any sense of coming back anytime soon, they need to either mend fences, build bridges, go back and get some of these people who are out, get them back home, or they will be in this dilemma for a very long time.
In an emotional farewell speech yesterday, Dr. Minnis apologized for his missteps, stating he's not a perfect man. Minnis vowed to support the opposition any way he can. McAlpine encouraged Dr. Minnis to keep his word not to run again.
I would say this to the former Prime Minister, who has said that he was not running again. I would hope that he would keep his word and he would save himself the embarrassment by falling back on his word. I believe if he falls back on his word, it's good. I think respectfully, the country needs a break from the leadership, the present leadership of the Free National Movement.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Shifting gears now, the Bahamas Humane Society left trashed after thieves broke into the shelter overnight. Staff members tell our news they feel traumatized and violated as the nonprofit is left cleaning up the mess. Giorgio Bain reports.
Thieves causing thousands of dollars in damage here at the Bahamas Humane Society after they hopped a fence last night and broke in through the back door. Once inside, they kicked open office doors, broke open file cabinets, and even medicine cabinets needed to help the animals here that are in need. The staff at the Bahamas Humane Society in disbelief speaking with our news today.
Much violated. It is very violated. And that's, because we deal with so many walks of life, public, you just, it always makes you cringe and think of, these are the people that you're helping. What if it's one of them? So it is very, it is really traumatic.
Bahamas Humane Society General Manager Percy Grant says he believes the thieves cut through botanical gardens and scaled the Humane Society's thrift store side fence before making their way to the Humane Society's back door. Once inside, they disconnected the $15,000 camera system and unleashed mayhem.
Most unfortunate, around 10:30 last night, one of our staff members called to say that they came back into the building from being on a call and found the offices, everything all doors kicked down, or kicked open, I should say, and offices trashed, searching, looking for stuff. This was, they went into the exam rooms, went into the doctor's offices, went into my office. The adoption department office, again, just trashed.
Filing cabinets used to hold confidential adoption information were overturned and financial records scattered and damaged. But Grant says there is a silver lining. Although thieves made away with $500 cash, essential food and medication needed for the shelter's four-legged friends remained untouched. He was even more grateful that none of the animals appeared to be harmed during the ordeal.
They did take a $500 float. That was a bit which they probably would have found in the accountant's office, and they really trashed that. So you could imagine the files and trying to put things back together. So the day is going to be one of those days we're going to be up, working our butts off trying to get things back in order, trying to keep the Surrey drivers, the Surrey horse industry afloat by giving them hay every week, trying to feed the public, with their animals every week. We've done so much, and this is really, really so disappointing.
The charity was already in dire financial constraints brought on by an influx of animal rescues and the COVID-19 pandemic. The BHS estimates it may cost $8,000 to replace doors, $2,000 to replace damaged fencing, and thousands to replace damaged computers, on top of the $15,000 to replace the stolen camera system. Now the Bahamas Humane Society needs your help more than ever.
Our raffle have started, our national raffle has started, and so what I can say is we encourage people to please support us by at least buying a raffle ticket for $5 and try to win a nice prize, at least to help us out to try and get us back on our feet.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
When our news comes back from the break, taxi drivers optimistic about working with the new minister, and Bahamian baller Buddy Hield shines. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Some license plates are getting a makeover, as rental car plates will soon be returned to white plates with green text. Bahamas Taxi Cab Union President Wesley Ferguson says Transport Minister JoBeth Colby Davis confirmed that the government has already begun the process to revert the rental car plates. Ferguson says he got the news on Friday, and taxi drivers are optimistic.
She sounds very promising, and taxi drivers have been suffering for so long under the ravages of these lease agreements and other issues in the taxi industry, as opposed to when it comes to the SDs competing with them, the SUVs at the airport. And with our promises, it is a welcome promise, because there's a new feeling in there that certainly this is a new day. So the honeymoon is still on. So let's just see how the marriage is going to go.
The union decried this, along with a number of other outstanding issues, for quite some time. Ferguson says the relationship with Colby Davis sounds very promising.
So far, she sounds as if she means business. And of course, she will find out very quickly, if she doesn't mean business, that the Bahamas Taxi Cab Union and the taxi drivers means business. So we obviously have to give her a chance, an opportunity to make good on her promises. We are sure that some of the things will take a little while longer than we expected.
Another career milestone for NBA player Buddy Hield. Meanwhile, the stage is set for Monday Night Football. Marcellus Hall has more tonight in sports.
All right, thanks, Christina. Welcome to our sports on a Monday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The NBA season just 3 games into it so far, but already a big milestone for one of our own, Grand Bahama native Buddy Hield, in some rarefied territory. Now the franchise leader in three-point shooting. Let's take a look. Another career milestone for Buddy Hield. Grand Bahama native becoming the all-time franchise leader in three-point shots made for the Sacramento Kings over the course of the weekend. Buddy now 2,071, surpassing the previous record held by Peja Stojakovic, who held the record for many years as a guard for the Sacramento Kings. Buddy now all alone and continuing to make those numbers grow as he continues to rain down three-pointers to start the season. Kings did have two games over the course of the weekend, won one, lost one. Yesterday's loss coming at a tough time, Buddy only scoring 8 points in that contest, but again celebrating the accomplishment as he becomes the all-time leader in terms of franchise three-point shots made in a very, very short period of time. Great job there by our Bahamian guy, Buddy Hield. And meanwhile, Monday Night Football comes your way this evening. Pretty good games on the agenda for you as two teams battling it out for the NFC West title. How about the New Orleans Saints sitting at 3-2 on the air? They take on the struggling Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson and crew looking to make some noise. They're sitting at 2-4. That game comes your way this evening. Should be a good one. We'll give you details on that and more coming up for you tomorrow right here on RTV Sports. And there it is, your check on sports for you here on this Monday. We'll give you full details of tonight's Monday Night Football action and, of course, a preview of the World Series. That's all ahead for you tomorrow. Until then, I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, are temperatures cooling down? And a look at how one island is succeeding at virtual schooling. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Will it be a rainy week ahead? Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. We are watching a remnant frontal boundary across southern Florida, generating some showers and thunderstorms across the northwest Bahamas. Some of those showers making it into the central Bahamas. All of this will continue to pull towards the east. We should exit our area over the next day or so, and high pressure will be building behind that. National Hurricane Center watching for the possibility of a non-tropical low that should form off this frontal boundary well to the north of the Bahamas off the east coast of the United States. 40% chance for formation over the next 5 days, but it will continue to pull out into the Atlantic. The remainder of the tropics quiet, and tropical cyclone formation is not expected through the next 5 days. Beaching and boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas. Your winds will be out of the south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean, while in the southeast Bahamas we have a southeast to southerly flow expected 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet. High tide will be at 11:48 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Saturday. Keeping a couple of showers in the forecast for at least another day or two, but by the weekend, we expect a real significant front through our area. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, Grand Bahama has the highest percentage of virtual school enrollment in the country, according to District Superintendent Ivan Butler. While he could not provide the exact percentage, Butler says he's pleased that so many students on Grand Bahama are on the online platform.
We have a dashboard in education, and our dashboard has indicated that we are leading the nation with students who are signing up or who are registering online on a daily basis. So percentage-wise, we are just proud of the fact that more students in the Grand Bahama District are able to get on and appreciate the online platform.
For Grand Bahama students who were primarily face-to-face last year, the virtual space has been an adjustment. Butler says he looks forward to students returning to the classroom.
In Grand Bahama last year, we were the largest district to go face-to-face. Parents in Grand Bahama are very disturbed that we are not face-to-face at this time. Again, we are awaiting protocols as it relates to the Ministry of Health. But again, I also want to say that the Grand Bahama District is still leading the nation with online students who are online, who are registering online. So our students are online, taking advantage of the virtual platform. Nevertheless, we would like them, we understand that the brick and mortar situation is the best one for our students, but it's only a matter of time now. We feel that our students will be back in school.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.